It's the very nearly current show.
Popteevee.
It's either one or what? Hi Preeta,
Hi, Fami.
welcome to the Fairly Current Show.
Thank you.
Here today with us on the Fairly Current Show we have Preeta Samarasan, who wrote the wonderful Evening is the Whole Day, which is a book that you can get in practically every major bookstore in Malaysia and abroad, right? Can lah.
Most
yeah.
of abroad.
Most of
Parts of abroad.
parts of abroad, yeah, because abroad is pretty big.
Yes.
And so we just like to talk a little bit about this book and how it came to be. What was the process like? Because I understand that you have been living in America and in France for quite a while. And what was that process like? Why did you choose to write this story?
I had been writing, I'd been sort of dabbling in writing from school days, and I had always wanted to write a novel. So I had many abandoned attempts before I ever hit upon this particular story. And I think I had always wanted in particular to write about servants in Malaysia, especially in Indian families, I suppose. And so even though when I first had the idea of this novel, I think at that point I'd been living in the US for 7 years already. But I still felt a very strong connection. I think it's common for a lot of writers to feel the strongest connection to the place where they grew up. That that's those years are very influential, have a big impact on your development as a writer.
And talking about that, you grew up in Ipoh.
I grew up
right?
in Ipoh, yeah.
Which is such a wonderful little town, I guess.
Yes, yeah,
Which has been in a number of Yasmin Ahmad's movies, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And what do you remember? What was that process of remembering like for you?
I chose to set this novel, most of it is set from 1980 to 1979, that 1 year backwards. And I chose to set it during that time because I do have very vivid memories. It's really my early childhood, and there's something about those, the nature of those particular memories is very, they're both vivid, they're rich in a way that more recent memories cannot be, which sounds sort of weird. You'd think you'd remember more recent things more clearly, but there's something about those childhood memories. So I wanted for my first novel that the process of remembering, there's almost no effort to remember. Those are, these sorts of memories that have stuck with you all this time. And I feel that there's a reason that they stick with you. I mean, not a mystical or religious reason, but just...
they have such a deep imprint.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. The language that you use is it's so rich. It's so, I don't know, seductive, sensuous. How did you acquire that vocabulary lah, katakan? How was it always in you, or did you just?
I think I acquired that vocabulary largely from the writers that I love. So I read the writers that I love have that kind of big. If you want to say overblown, but that's a negative word. So I don't think of it that way. But kind of a big voice. So people like. Rushdie and Peter Carey, and there's a book that I really love that that took the epigraph for this novel from, called Waterland by Graham Swift. This kind of, I guess it's a big 19th century voice. I also really, really love Dickens. So I think largely my voice is from those influences.
Yeah, but it's quite wonderful to read, like even the opening paragraph, if I may, just a little bit.
Sure. You're better read it than me anyway.
There is, stretching delicate as a bird's head from the thin neck of the Kra Isthmus, a land that makes up half of the country called Malaysia. Where it dips its beak into the South China Sea, Singapore hovers like a bubble escaped from its throat. Like even this first two lines, it's like... So that's quite wonderful and so rich. I'm just curious, now that you have gotten here and you have decided that you want to be a full-time novelist and writer. What are you working on next?
I'm working on a second novel. It's about a group of people who form a utopian community in the late 60s, early 70s in Cameron Highlands, and it's not based on any reality. I've invented these people.
Oh, okay. Why have you chosen this theme? I mean, I know a lot of it's still kind of like amorphous.
Yeah. I think I'm interested in playing this what-if game. In some ways, I do play that game as well, even though this novel is it's a small story about a family in some ways, but with some of the youngest character in this book, Asha, is in personality and temperament, I think, very much like me, but I've put her in an invented situation. And for me, that was a what-if game. Like, let's see what happens if I put a child who's a lot like me in this weird situation, and let's see what she does. So I like to play that game. And so with the utopian community thing, it's a group of people who decide to build a better Malaysian society in response to the events of the late 60s. And so it's kind of this, again, it's this game of conjecture. I'm thinking, what if there had been people who thought that way and did that, and how would that have changed anything, or would it have changed anything, or nothing?
What are your thoughts about the state of Malaysian literature at this point in time?
I'm quite optimistic actually about Malaysian literature at this time. It seems that there's so much happening. Every time I come back to KL, there's so much. The literary scene is really kind of blossoming, and I think it's just the beginning. I think there's still a lot that remains to be done, but I think that as more and more people become known for their writing, and now there are probably 6 or 7 of us who've already who've gained some level of international recognition, and I think as that happens, that younger writers, like when I was in Form 5, it wasn't thinkable for me to be a writer. I didn't know. I didn't know anybody who was a writer. It seemed like a fairy tale thing. But I think now, gradually, for younger people, it will seem a realistic goal.
Right.
So.
And actually, let's go back to that. You said when you were in Form 5, it was something that was unimaginable. And in fact, when you were writing this, also, it was not something that you set off to do so directly, right?
No.
What are your thoughts about, in that sense, writing and the Malaysian education system?
Yeah, I think it's a pity. Although I also try to be understanding. I can see why the education system was set up the way it was, because at that time, just after independence, we did need to sort of see to our immediate goals.
Sure.
We needed a lot of scientists, we needed researchers. So, but I think that personally, I found it quite limiting, and I know that I had other friends as well who found it limiting. That if you were smart at all, you were sort of pushed into the sciences and not really exposed to the arts as much. So I think it would be good.
But now it's changing, lah.
It's changing, and I think it could change more. I'm hopeful that it will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Preeta. Thanks for coming on the show.
Okay. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
The unwelcome word of the week is ile. Ile. No, nothing. From the Tamil for no. I worked like a balachi, but did I get anything out of it? No. Ile. Okay.
Popteevee.